Today, we're diving into a book that feels less like a gentle pat on the back and more like a shot of pure, undiluted reality. It's psychiatrist Gordon Livingston's Too Soon Old, Too Late Smart, a guide to all the hard truths we usually figure out way too late.
You know that feeling, right? That if only I knew then what I know now moment? Well, think of this as your chance to get that wisdom ahead of schedule, to learn these lessons before you're stuck wishing you had.
All right, so the book came out back in 2004, and let me tell you, this is not your typical feel-good self-help manual. Dr. Livingston packs decades of psychiatric practice into 30 brutally honest truths. It's really for anyone who's just tired of making the same mistakes and is finally ready for some real, unfiltered insight.
At the very heart of the book is Livingston's core diagnosis for why we all get so stuck in life. And it's this: self-deception. It's the huge gap between our intentions and our actions. See, we judge ourselves by what we mean to do, but the world, reality, it only judges us by what we actually do. That's the problem he sets out to fix.
And that diagnosis leads us straight to the book's first and honestly most fundamental truth. This one quote is pretty much the bedrock of his entire philosophy.
So here's the deal. Your good intentions, all your promises, your big dreams, they're basically worthless. Your behavior, which you actually do day in and day out, is the only thing that shows who you really are. If you want the truth about your priorities, don't listen to your self-talk. Just watch your actions for a day. The evidence is right there.
Livingston then builds on this with this absolutely brilliant metaphor for how we navigate our lives. This really serves as his second core prescription.
What's so powerful about this is that it forces you to take total responsibility. If you keep hitting the same wall in your career, or your relationships always seem to blow up in the same way, that's not bad luck. It means your map, your beliefs about the world, is wrong. The answer isn't to blame the world, it's to have the guts to throw out the old map and draw a new one based on reality.
So if we can't just rely on wishful thinking, what about happiness? Where does that come from? Well, Livingston argues it's not some mystical feeling you chase. Nope. He gives us a surprisingly simple and practical formula.
He just boils it all down to these 3 pillars. He says happiness isn't the goal. It's just the natural byproduct of having these 3 things working in your life. First, purpose, having something meaningful to do. Second, relationships, someone to love whose needs you care about. And third, hope, something to look forward to. It's not a mystery, it's an equation. If you're unhappy, he says, one of these 3 things is probably missing. Now, of course, trying to build those 3 pillars can be really tough, and it's often sabotaged by a classic trap, one that Livingston points to as a huge obstacle to living a good life.
And that trap is perfectionism. But let's be honest, it's not really about having high standards, is it? It's just a mask for fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, and that fear leads to what they call analysis paralysis, where you're so afraid to get it wrong that you do nothing at all. The cure? Just embrace good enough. Because imperfect action will always beat perfect inaction. Getting something done, even if it's just 80% right, is infinitely better than keeping a perfect idea locked up in your head.
But even taking that imperfect action, well, it requires patience. And this leads us to Livingston's final dose of hard-earned reality about what it really truly takes to grow. I mean, think about it, right? Bad things happen in an instant. A disaster, a betrayal, a layoff, it can wreck your life in a flash. But building something good, a career, a strong relationship, a healthy mindset, that is the work of years. Real change is a slow, grinding process. So you have to ditch the fantasy of some overnight fix and just commit to the slow, steady, and pretty unglamorous work of just getting a little bit better every day.
So how do you actually put this all into practice? Well, Livingston's ideas all come together in this one actionable challenge, the 48-hour reality check. It's simple. For 24 hours, just write down what you actually do. Then, for the next 24, pretend a totally impartial observer is watching you and make choices based on that. And finally, just pick one thing you keep intending to do and just do it. I guarantee you the result will feel uncomfortable, but it will also be incredibly liberating.
So what's our final take on the book? Well, its biggest strength is its brutal, no-nonsense clarity. It's like a scalpel that cuts right through all your excuses. It takes complex ideas and makes them things you can use, like today. On the flip side, because it's so concise, it can sometimes oversimplify really complex problems, and it's more based on his decades of wisdom than hard scientific studies.
And that brings us to our final score. we're giving Too Soon Old, Too Late Smart a very, very strong 8.4 out of 10. Why? Because it is absolutely essential reading for anyone who's ready to stop lying to themselves and start making real, actual changes.
And when you break that score down, you can see it scores super high on practical application and impact potential. And that really gets to the core of this book. Its value isn't just in the ideas, it's in its power to actually spark real-world transformation and fast.
Now, if this kind of thinking really resonates with you and you're wondering where to go next, we've got two recommendations. First, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. It also comes from a psychiatrist, and it's a profound look at finding purpose. Also, The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck, which, much like this book, really challenges you to face down some hard truths.
So we're going to end by turning the book's central message right back at you. Livingston is crystal clear. You are what you do. So after hearing all this, what is the one single action, just one, that you will take in the next 48 hours to start closing that gap between the person you say you want to be and the person your actions prove you are right now?